The Springboks season is 1 week away from kickoff, but how should the Springboks line up against the Barbarians? As we know, the Barbarians style of rugby is going to be loose, it's going to be fast, and it's going to be entertaining. So I think we need to pick a team that is going to match that and try and give some of the younger players some opportunity in a Springbok jersey. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about the Springboks, all about South African rugby. I'm going to be bringing you the best Springbok content this season. So hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and as always, drop your opinions on the team down in the comments. Let's get into it. So first up, the front row, and more specifically, the loose head prop. Now, four options are Oxencher, Thomas du Toit, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, and Boan Venter. Now, I do think we are going to have to set quite a solid base in that forward pack. We need to pick some more experienced guys, I think, to start, to sort of give us that platform to win us some scrum penalties so that we're solid at set piece, we get over the gain line. So for me, we could go for Ox, we could go for Thomas du Toit or Jan-Hendrik Wessels. I mean, all three of those props are in great form at the moment. But for me, I think I'm going to start Ox and Chur. Now, who am I going to partner him up with in that tight head position? We've got Volkolo, we've got Thomas du Toit, we've got Vincent Koch, Neethling, and Asenati. Now, I don't know if Neethling and Asenati are going to get a start in this game. Maybe Rassie will bring one of them off of the bench, because I think Volkolo has proved himself over this last season for the Bulls. We've got Thomas du Toit, who can play loose head or tight head, which is an absolutely massive weapon to have. And he's also been playing some phenomenal rugby for Bath. You've got Vincent Koch, who's maybe not had the best season he's ever had for the Sharks, but we know what he provides in a Springbok jersey. So who am I going to pair Ox and Chur up with? I think I'm going to go with Thomas du Toit. To give him some more experience in that Springbok jersey, he obviously has played for the Springboks before, but I think giving him this opportunity at the Cape Town Stadium alongside a guy like Ox is going to be very, very good for him, and he can also switch between that if there is a couple of injuries, which I don't think there will be, and I think we will be covered on the bench. So I'm going to go for Ox and Thomas du Toit. Now, in that hooker position, we've got Malcolm Marx, Bonge Mbonambe, Manus Vanamava, and then Jan-Hendrik Wessels can also slot in that hooker position. I also did see in some of the training footage of the Springboks last week that Marco van Staden was throwing a couple of balls into the lineout, so maybe he's an option in that hooker position as well. I think we're going to keep it quite simple in that hooker position and go with Malcolm Marx. He's been playing over in Japan, and I think it'll be good to see Malcolm Marx back in a Springbok jersey, as well as starting a very, very strong Springbok front row in Ox, in Thomas du Toit, and Malcolm Marx. There's not too much that can go wrong there. If we then move over into the lock department, now this is a mess. We have so much depth in this lock department, and you could honestly pick any one of these guys. Eben Etzebeth, Archius Snyman, Rowan Nokia, Franco Mostert, Jean Klein, Loet de Jager, Salman Murat, Kobus Visser, or even Jean-Luc Depree. Now, do I think we're going to use Jean-Luc Depree in that lock department? I don't think so. I think we're going to use him more as a loose forward, whether it be 6, 7, or 8. Kobus Visser is an interesting one, because do we give him a start right out the gates in a test match against the Barbarians, or do we go with a little bit more experience? Do we go with Eben Etzebeth in that 4 jersey? Do we pair him up with Archius Snyman? Rowan Nokia was one of the finds of the season for the Springboks last year. Franco Mostert is one of those guys, maybe similar to Rowan Nokia, who can play lock as well as 6 or 7. We've got Jean Klein, who has been doing a great job for Munster, and then we've got Loet de Jager, who's back after 2 years. And I think it might be important to get Loet de Jager back into the system, back into the swing of things with the Springboks. So for me, what I think against the Barbarians is we need to start Eben Etzebeth. I think we need to get him back on the field. He's been out with injury for a long time for the Sharks, been in and out with concussions and minor injuries. So I think starting Eben Etzebeth. And then I wouldn't start Archius Snyman alongside Eben, just because he won that final against Leinster. And yes, I am going to include players from the Bulls, players from Leinster, players from the Leicester Tigers, all of those guys who did play in the final about a week or 2 ago, because I think they have had enough time to sort of integrate within the team. So I'm going to go for Eben Etzebeth, and I'm actually going to go for Loet de Jager in that number 5 jersey, and give Loet some time in a Springbok jersey. Again, it's against the Barbarians. It is a friendly. As much as we do want to win this game, it is one of those games this year that we can lose, and there's no sort of repercussions to it. In saying that, we obviously do want to win it, and we want to start the season off strong, which is why I've gone for a balance of veterans and experience, as well as slowly starting to bring some of the younger players in. So Eben and Loet de Jager. Then into the loose forwards. Now, open side flanker, number 6, we got Siya Kolisi, we got Marco van Staden, Kwagga Smith, and Jean-Luc Depree. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to mess around too much with this number 6 jersey. I think Siya Kolisi is probably the favorite to start. We could see Marco van Staden starting. I don't know if we'll see Kwagga Smith start a test match at 6. I think he's more likely to start at 8. And then how do we fit Jean-Luc Depree in? That is a very interesting sort of question. Does he come in at 6, 7, or 8? For me, I'm going to start Siya Kolisi, and I think Siya will start against the Barbarians. There just is something about Siya running out first with Eben behind him and the Springboks getting off to a hot start for the 2025 season. This test match is going to build momentum into those Italian test matches and into that Georgia test match, which is then going to be followed up by the Rugby Championship. So I do think it's important that we win this game. So I'm going to start Siya. Into the blindside flank, number 7. Now, Peter Steph Toy is injured. I think he's definitely the front runner in that position, no matter who we play, no matter which day it is. So do we pick Franco Mostert, Vincent Chichuka, Ruan Nokia, Jean-Luc Depree, or Kobus Visser? Now, what's interesting is I do think Vincent Chichuka is going to play a role in the Springbok team this year. I think Rassie is going to give him a few opportunities to sort of prove himself, to get him into a Springbok jersey. Ruan Nokia is interesting because he played 5 for the Springboks last year, but has been playing that 7 role for the Blue Bulls. We've got Franco Mostert, who is one of those guys like Ruan Nokia who can play 7, but then also slot into lock. So we could pick 2 Lucies on the bench. Do I think we're going to do that? Probably not. And then Jean-Luc Depree and Kobus Visser, it's going to be interesting to see where Rassie Rasmus brings them in. I don't think at this stage Kobus Visser will be selected for the Barbarians game. I think he might come in against Italy or Georgia, but something just tells me he's not going to be selected for the Barbarians game. So for me, I'm going to start Franco Mostert. Also, a lot of experience, has been in and out of the Springbok team just because of injury over the past couple of years. So I think it's important to get him some game time. So Siya at 6, Franco Mostert at 7. And then into that 8th man discussion with Cameron Hanekom and Juarno Augustus injured now. Ulrich Lowe also out. We've got Jasper Visser, Kwagga Smith, Evan Roos, and Jean-Luc Depree. Now, I do think this is an opportunity to give someone an opportunity in that 8 jersey. We know what Jasper Visser provides. We know what Kwagga Smith provides. And again, I said it in previous videos, I think Kwagga Smith is our best impact player. And it's sad for him because I do think our bench is missing something when Kwagga Smith isn't on it. He provides something different to what the other guys provide. Then we got Evan Roos, who has come in for Cameron Hanekom. Do we give him an opportunity to start at Cape Town Stadium, at his home stadium, or do we go with Jean-Luc Depree, who's been out of the Springbok team for a couple of years, but has been playing some seriously good rugby for the Sale Sharks? I think this is going to be my first sort of out there pick, and I'm going to go for Jean-Luc Depree to start in that number 8 jersey. He also gives us that flexibility that he can move around the scrum, he can fill in at lock, and he just provides a little bit more utility than the likes of Jasper Visser or an Evan Roos. So I'm going to start Jean-Luc Depree, and I think that's going to wrap up a pretty good forward pack in my opinion. Moving into the back line, Grant Williams, Faf de Klerk, Kobus Reinach, and Morne van den Berg. Now, you could argue that this is the perfect opportunity to give Morne van den Berg, but in my mind, I think Rassie's brought Faf de Klerk in for a reason. I don't think he's just going to bring him in and not play him. So I do think Faf is probably going to start this game against the Barbarians. It also does give us a little bit more flexibility in who we pick at 10, because we know that Rassie Rasmus likes to pair up an experienced scrum off with maybe a not so experienced fly off and vice versa. He needs someone in that 9 and 10 position who is experienced. So I think Faf's going to start. As much as I think Grant Williams is our best scrum off option, you got Kobus Reinach, who is also no joke at all, and then Morne van den Berg. I think all of these guys are going to get an opportunity in the next 4 games against the Barbarians, Italy, and Georgia. But for me, I'm going to start Faf de Klerk against the Barbarians, which means then I'm going to pick Sasha Feinberg Mgumuzulu at 10. A little bit less experience, but I think this is the perfect game to unleash him. We know the style of rugby that Sasha likes to play. It's loose, it's creative, it's attacking. He wants to get into space. He wants to put other people into space. And I think with the experienced head of Faf at 9 and Sasha with his flair at 10, combined with the fact that we're playing against the Barbarians, is the correct call. Now, where do we fit Marnie in? Where do we fit Pollard in? Damian Willemse can also play 10, but he is still banned, and I don't think he's available for selection for this Barbarians game. So I'm going to go with Sasha at 10. Into the inside and outside center combination. Now, I do think this is where we can experiment a bit. You could go for the favorites and go for Damian Willemse, Damian Delende, and Jesse Creel, but I don't think that's going to teach us much. And especially with Sasha at 10, I think it gives us an opportunity to test an inside and outside center combination. And I'm looking at the Sharks boys. I'm looking at Andre Esterhazen and Ethan Hooker. I think it's important to still have that chemistry in that 12 and 13 combination, and I think Andre Esterhuizen and Ethan Hooker will give that to you. Obviously, still have Kane and Moody who can play 13. You've got Sasha who can probably fill in at 12, but because we put him at 10, I'm going to go for Andre Esterhuizen at 12, who's going to get us over the gain line. He's had a phenomenal season for the Sharks. And then we're going to test out Ethan Hooker in that 13 position. He can play wing, he can play either center. He's a very versatile player. He won player of the match in the last game he played for the Sharks. So Ethan Hooker is definitely one for the future, and I do think we need to test him in that 13 position. So all of a sudden, that's a very mix and match backline with Faf at 9, Sasha at 10, Andre at 12, and Ethan Hooker at 13. But I do think having the two Sharks guys in the center of the field is going to calm it down, and the chemistry will be there. Then into the wings. Now, our two best wings are Cheslin Colby and Kurtley Orense, but I don't think they're going to play in this game against the Barbarians. I could be wrong, but I do think Rassie Erasmus is going to give Edwal van der Merwe an opportunity in that 14 jersey. And I do think Makazole Mapimpi is going to get an opportunity in that 11 jersey. You could argue that Kane and Moody could potentially slip in there. Maybe it's obviously a possibility, but I would go with Makazole and Edwal in the wing jerseys at 11 and 14. Again, then you extending that chemistry between the Sharks players with Andre Esterhuizen at 12, Ethan Hooker at 13, and Makazole on the wing. Then into the fullback position, and again, I'm going to stick with the Sharks guys and go for Apelele Fassi here, just so that we have that fluidity in the back line. Yes, you could start Willie Leroux, and I think Willie will want to start that game. Obviously, he's approaching his 100th cap, but this isn't going to count towards it. So I think it is an opportunity for Rassie Erasmus to give Apelele Fassi that opportunity and not have to worry about getting Willie Leroux closer to that 100 cap mark. So that's how I see the starting 15 happening. But obviously, this is a game of 23 players. I'm going to go through my bench really quick, and I think this is where we can give a couple of opportunities to guys coming off of the bench, because I think that starting 15 is going to set a perfect foundation for these guys coming off of the bench. In that 16 jersey, replacement hooker, I'm going to go for Marnus van der Merwe. I'm not going to pick Bongi Manambe. I think we can give Marnus van der Merwe 30 minutes to feel the level of international rugby. I think we would have set a solid platform, and I think we bring him on and see what he can do. And then into our replacement props, I'm going to keep it in the Blue Bulls family and go for Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Volkolo. Both of them have had outstanding seasons for the Bulls. A replacement lock. Now, you could pick any one of the locks, and I don't think there's a wrong option, but I'm going to go for Argia Snyman. I really want to see how Argia comes on and impacts the game for the Springboks off of the bench. We've seen him do it for Leinster. I want to see him paired up with Iabenetsebeth in that scrum and see what they can do. Two replacements, Lucy's, and it goes without saying that I'm picking a 6-2 bench split. I'm going to go for Vincent Chichuka, give him an opportunity off of the bench, the Sharks' most consistent player throughout the whole season. And then Kwagga Smith in that 21 jersey, who can play 6, 7, 8, center, wing, wherever you want Kwagga to play. And then the two replacement backline players, I'm going to go for Grant Williams at replacement 9 and Andre Pollard at that replacement 10. And that's how I see how the Springboks should be lining up against the Barbarians. As always, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. It's a big week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Peace.